Thank you for staying with us. Opposition candidates and ex-president John Dramani Mahama cast his votes in the Ghanaian city of Bole in a tight presidential election race, pitting him against Vice President and former central banker Mahamudu Bawumia. Ghanaians have voted in a closely contested presidential election featuring Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia and opposition ex-president John Mahama. Economic challenges, including high inflation, debts default, and a $3 billion IMF bailout, have dominated the campaign. Voters will choose a successor to President Nana Akufo-Addo, completing his 2 terms, and elect a new parliament. Let's cross live to what is known as the former Gold Coast, and that's Ghana, where we have our correspondent Bernard Akede on standby. Bernard, good evening. It's glad to have you join me on the news. Tell us what's happening regarding elections in Ghana.
All right, thank you for having me, Debola. Good evening. This is past 5 p.m. here in Ghana, past 6 in Nigeria, and officially voting has closed by 5 p.m. And what you're looking at right now behind me is the collation and counting of the votes here in, it's called New Asafo in basic school in, I think the area is called Asukwa is what it's called, I've been told, is what's called. Now, just behind me there is the box of the presidential ballots have been broken open, and now under the watchful eyes of party agents, the electoral officials are going through the papers, the ballots basically, sorting them out according to the votes and counting them right in front of of the party agents who are watching. So far, so good. It's been clear, it's been fine. And I'll see if I can get one of the party agents to speak with. Okay, I've been told that he can't join me right now. He is focusing on the collation and counting of the papers.
But let's bring us up to speed. And how would you describe the process of these elections so far, from start and now to finish, in terms of the electoral officers as well as the electorates themselves, and how they came out to cast their votes?
All right. Well, I would say it has been pretty impressive, if you must say. 7 a.m. Ghanaian time, that's 8 a.m. Nigerian time, as the time that was slated for election to commence, and for the polling stations we visited, as at 7 a.m. election had started. The electoral officials and the materials had arrived before 7 a.m. and there were some voters who were there waiting already by the time these materials came in. So it was very swift and very, very on point. And then there were a lot of checks, so to speak. The voters had to, first of all, just like we do in Nigeria, get their accreditation, check whether their names are there, and then for those who don't even have their voting cards, it's been made a little bit I'll say digital, such that they can go give their name and then some information, and the electoral officials can check through their machines, and if truly these people were registered to vote in this polling unit, then their names will pop up and they'll be allowed to vote even without their cards, as I was told. And then even for we media operatives who have been moving around, after registration, the cards that we've been given, the IDs that we're given, have some QR codes, such that if anybody wants to verify your status, all they need to do is to scan the QR code, and then if you actually have fully registered for the election, all your details will pop up and they'll see it. And we who were from Nigeria had to do that, and we were allowed to continue our work. But besides that, like I said, it's been peaceful, it's been smooth, it's been straightforward. And what's also interesting is that, unlike in some other African countries, movement was not restricted. It's a normal Saturday. People have been going around their daily businesses, and yet they've been able to vote. 5 p.m. on the dot, voting stops. If there's anybody on the queue, the person is allowed to vote, but nobody else is allowed to join the queue by 5 p.m. And if there's nobody on the queue 5 p.m., voting stops immediately in that polling unit. And that's exactly what we saw here.
I'd like to find out from you, Bernard, in terms of the security officers, how would you describe their comportment in the process of these elections? I mean, you said the process has been smooth so far. We learned of some reports regarding, secrecy of ballots not being there, in terms of it being open to the electoral officers. But then speak to security officers and what you know about, ballots being cast, and if indeed it was secret or not.
Well, from what I've come to see, it was secret. As a matter of fact, there was a time I was trying to get some shots, and one of the police officers assigned to the polling unit had to ward me off, tell me to keep some kind of distance, so that my camera doesn't come, doesn't would I say infringe on the privacy of those who were voting, basically. So from what I've seen, there has been that level of secrecy that I think the voters require and need. According to how voting should be around here. I have not seen anywhere where secrecy has been breached concerning voting. And then as far as security is concerned, like you asked, I would say it's really been quite secure in this area. I only saw on our platform, News Central, where somewhere, and I had to ask where that was, it said northern region of Ghana, where 2 were shot and some were injured, if I'm not mistaken, from that report. But from everything I have noticed around Kumasi, while we've been going around, it's been pretty secure. In this particular polling unit, there's only been one police officer, and she's a lady who has been standing here ensuring that everything is going safe. She's even unarmed, no firearms, and the same has been seen in most of the polling units we visited, except just a few, and those who we saw carrying arms were not more than 1 or 2, but it's pretty safe. I think the people themselves have also proven to be invested in the electoral process, ensuring that there's peace and safety and security, just as the security operatives too have been. But that's also not to say that there have not been, because there actually have been some police officers patrolling the streets of Kumasi all day.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Bernard Akede, there, live in Ghana, bringing us up to speed as election there comes to a close. Many thanks indeed, Bernard.
Thank you for having me.